We
back.
are
We're back.
back.
We're back.
Oh,
And
man.
with that being said, thank you for everyone who has been chomping at the bits for more Retcon Comics content. We are back. Jay, Trey, and Doc coming to you live with the Retcon Comics podcast, hitting your head off with some pop culture, comic book info, commentary, mixed with social commentary as well. To everyone out there in the multiverse, metaverse, universe, whatever verse you're at right now, you could have been anywhere, but you're here with us and we appreciate it. Thank you to those who are our subscribers, our fans. And if you're onlookers and you found yourself here, don't be shy. Go ahead and hit the like button, subscribe, turn on your notifications so that way you can stay tuned in to all Retcon Comics content. And without further ado, we're going to jump into it. For those who don't know, what we usually jump off with is our top 5. And then we go ahead and move on to one shot where we highlight a particular area in pop culture or comic book culture. And we blend it in with social commentary, really delve into it and get deep with it. And then we round off the third base with Doc's benediction, his recommendations for the newest comics that are out, what to look out for. But we're really excited. You know, it's been a long time coming. Each one of us, and I'm not trying to speak for anybody, but I know each one of us, we had some journeys that we were on, and now that it does seem like those journeys that we're on have come to a close, we're back better than ever. We're gonna go ahead and jump into the top 5. And the way that this was created, the top 5, it was the baseline metrics were popularity, longevity, adaptation, and character development. And this was a tough one for me. And of course, whenever we do the top 5, for those who are new to Retcon, if you do not agree with the top 5, if you don't like the arrangement, or if you have a completely different top 5, please make sure to put it in the comments. We would love to see what you think about the top 5 X-Men heroes of all time. So jumping into it, we have number 5, which is Jean Grey. And of course, for those who don't know, Jean Grey, of course, her powers are, she has telekinetic, she's telepathic, empath, and of course, the Phoenix Force. She's been, from what I've done, what I've seen, what I know, she's been adapted into 4 animated shows, 7 movies. So you have X-Men, the animated series, the 90s, and there was X-Men Evolution. And then we had, I think, Wolverine and the X-Men. It only had like a 1 season. It was kind of come and go, but it was, yeah. And then, of course, X-Men 97. And then, for everybody knows that actress, I can't, her name eludes me, but she played Jean Grey, the older Jean Grey in the X-Men movies. And then, of course, I call her Sansa.
Famke Janssen, I think.
Thank you. And then, of course, I called her Sansa from Game of Thrones. I don't know her real name, but she played
Sophie
Jean
Turner.
Grey. Sophie Turner, thank you. She took the baton was passed to her as she played Jean Grey. And, one of the most popular storylines that was centered around Jean Grey, of course, is the Phoenix Saga, the Dark Phoenix Saga. She's, of course, the founder of the X-Men. I mean, everybody knows that for sure, hopefully. One of the 5, the founders of the X-Men, always, far as you can recognize, she's always been with Scott. And of course, there's always been that love triangle, however, with her, Scott, and Wolverine, and I don't know how far Doc is, so I'm not going to talk too much into that. But of course, in the comic books, she was also cloned, and there was a clone, Madeline Pryor, ended up being Madeline Pryor. So, and I guess I'm kind of, I don't know. So is Cable technically Jean's son, right? Even though it's a clone of Jean, but it's still Jean's son,
it's
right?
the same DNA. Same DNA.
That's what I'm thinking, right? So so I'm gonna say, Jean, her and Sky have a which is Cable, that's their son, So
I'm back.
she's
sorry.
really
power out.
Oh no, you all right?
Can't stop me. I got my iPhone hotspot.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
You good. Oh, I saw Doc join below, like he joined. When did he leave?
Dude, I'm sorry.
You're good. We just going over Jean Grey, some of the most popular storyline, Dark Phoenix, Phoenix Saga. I think, Doc, you had put us up when, I guess when X-Men relaunched right after House of X and Powers of X, there was like an understandable love triangle between Wolverine, Scott, and Jean.
It was more like Scott and Jean and White Queen. And it was like, because at some point, Scott and White Queen was a thing before Jean came back.
Yes.
And so it was just weird. Like, they kind of had this. It was awesome to see mutants all together, but it was also a little bit chaotic. It seemed like this hedonistic type of vibe. And we were
okay.
Oh, what's going on here? But they eventually calmed it down. And Scott and Jean, it ended up being them. And they kind of, essentially were married. And so, yeah. But at first, there was this vibe, and then you kind of saw Wolverine kind of creeping around, and it's like, what are y'all doing here? And it was funny because when they first started doing the resurrection protocols, when somebody would be reborn, they would bring them out, or they actually had this line. It was not a lottery system, but they basically had a list of all of the mutants who had ended up dying. Like at some point, tragedy or whatever, whether it be Banshee, whether it was Leak, which I'm so glad they brought him back because I'm like, he shouldn't have died in the first place. But they had this order of, we need to bring these people back. And when they would finally bring them back, they would be celebrated. They would be brought out, but they would be brought out butt naked. Like as they were born from the egg, they would come out and they would just bring them out to the whole nation of Krakoa and introduce them back in naked.
Wow. Okay.
I'm like, okay.
Birthday suits. All right.
It was this vibe going on. But like I said,
that sound like what I used to watch on Cinemax back in the day.
That's what I'm
saying. The Red Shoe Diaries and stuff.
I know, right?
That might have been Showtime. Hold up. Tell about age, for real. And my past.
Right.
Yeah, so okay. So then it's fair to say, Jean Grey is definitely a staple in the X-Men mythology for sure. Do you feel like she's been done justice in the X-Men movies?
No. Nothing's been done justice in the X-Men movies. The X-Men movies are horrible.
Calm down.
Except for Toad. The second one was actually decent. But everything else was trash. You remember how they had Storm having a Jamaican accent, a bad African, Jamaican, whatever accent it is?
Yep.
Halle Berry in the
first
one,
of all,
and then all of a sudden it disappeared in the second one.
Yeah, because somebody was like, "This is awful. We're not doing." And you missed the opportunity to cast Angela Bassett, a young Angela Bassett, as Storm.
Dude,
she would tore it up.
She was perfect.
Man.
She was perfect.
We had her as a Queen Ramonda, so eventually she came into the Marvel.
One other person that I thought about is Storm, because she was essentially Storm, but without powers, and it was Tina Turner in Mad Max and the Thunderdome.
Oh yeah, that's interesting.
Remember?
That's interesting. Yeah.
The legs, dude. That was Storm to me right there. And that she had that
mohawk played by Angela Bassett.
Yeah.
So Angela Bassett, and Angela Bassett, she's ripped. She's cut like
it was perfect, man.
Perfect, man. They only got two people right in that thing. And now, once again, Storm made up for it. Halle Berry made up in the second one. They got that little short haircut. She was actually able to fight and do stuff, and she used the powers well. Okay, good. But basically, in the first one, the only person people got it right was Hugh Jackman and Patrick Stewart.
That's it.
I think everything else was like whatever.
That's it.
And it's funny that you bring up Storm, because we will be coming right back to her. But we are going to go to number 4 as the top 5 X-Men hero of all time, and that is Gambit. Now, for those who don't know, Gambit, his mutant powers are kinetic energy. He's been adapted in 4 animated shows and 6 movies thus far. And of course, from my opinion, I'm sorry, I read that wrong. 4 animated shows and 1 movie. My bad. Yeah, which technically I don't count that. No diss to I don't know the actor's name who played Gambit in X-Men Origins.
Oh, that Wolverine movie?
Taylor.
No.
Yeah, so we don't count that. I mean, but it's in the book, so we got to count.
He wasn't worse than Will.i.am.
Oh man,
come on,
Wraith.
Man.
Yeah, I was
come on,
what's
man.
going on? All right, come on, Creed. You ain't gonna get me like you got what's his name? I don't know, but I mean,
that was
sorry.
horrible.
Sorry,
I'm
Will I
sorry I
am.
even brought that up.
Sorry, Will I am. The best storyline to me for Gambit was the trial of Gambit. Because like his past wasn't so. It's him and Logan. They are the characters who, up until like now, back then as a kid, you're reading the books in the '90s. Their past was just so shrouded in mystery, and then you would get little drops, clues as to who they were before they were
Right.
X-Men. And the trial of Gambit, it was like the door was opening finally for us to actually see a lot of his history, with the Thieves Guild. I mean, who he was, who his family was, and
He was
everything.
actually instrumental in the whole Mutant Massacre.
Right, that as well.
That was his big secret. He was like instrumental in that going down, kind of. And like I remember when they first introduced Bishop. Bishop may have nothing for Gambit. He was just like, there's a person that is the downfall and an assassin of the X-Men, and I think it's this dude.
Right. And to be honest, the X-Men '90s show, it would, to me, and I'm thinking about what Doc said about if his older self can talk to his younger self. Because I think about my younger self, and I loved Gambit. Like, like he was always trying to pull Rogue, and I'm like, Rogue bad too, you know what I'm saying?
Even though she's untouchable.
Right. I get, and that made it even more like for him to go after her more, like, know, and then he had the accent and the Louisiana Bayou accent going on, and charged cars. And he had like some good, when you watch the series, he had some good one-liners, especially, of course, the name's Gambit. Remember it.
That's gonna always go down. Now I will say they always do some weird things with their powers. Like they've amped his power up. Like so,
I was about to ask about that.
Like he charged Wolverine's like claws once, and like, I'm like, can't do like that's a no.
That wouldn't work.
No, that would not work, dude. That wouldn't work. Here's the other part to it. Like, first of all, exploding his doggone adamantium claws, that's not a good idea. Like,
well,
no. But then the other part is Gambit's power. There's a reason why he charges cards. You know why?
Because he can't charge organic stuff.
Nope, right? That's not it.
Nope. Okay.
That's because they're small. He can charge them quickly. The bigger the object is an inverse relationship with his power, it takes him longer to charge. So he could charge a big object. It just takes him a long time. They got Gambit charging stuff like there ain't no tomorrow. But that's why he charges cars, because they low density. They don't weigh anything. So he can charge them like that and put the energy in.
So are you saying that you don't agree with how he charged the Sentinel on the Genosha episode in X-Men '97?
It would have took him forever to do that. I love the fact that he did it, but I'm like, his powers don't work like that. Like, once again, they amped it and made it uber to do that. Like, Wolverine shouldn't have arms anymore after him.
They should be gone. Yeah.
But
because
so my thing is
adamantium and they blew up. Wolverine's cartilage, his joints aren't adamantium. It's just the bones. He would have obliterated his hands. You know what I'm saying? So that's when you think about stuff, you're like, yeah, it's cool to see, but no. That don't work.
if I could just go ahead and plug an argument in there, because I learned about Gambit, he can only charge inorganic stuff. Like, he can't charge flesh or anything like that. He only charges inorganic stuff. So when I first saw the trailer of him charging Wolverine's claws, my first thought was, okay, he can charge adamantium because it's not organic. And then I also thought, why haven't we seen this in the comic book yet? Because that's like a combo from Marvel versus Capcom that you could just, have them just go at it. And then so
that's why. Because I think the comic people, more than the optics of it, they thought it out. They don't do it all the time, but a lot of times, a lot of thought. That was one of the reasons I ended up liking comics. I'm like, do you guys actually go talk to people about this stuff first to see what makes sense? Because if he would have done that, he literally would have blew his like hand apart, and his adamantium would have been gone. Like, he could have regrooved his hand back. He could have reglued Carl's back. He's done that before. But the adamantium would have been, the blades would have been somewhere.
But is it possible that he had control of how the kinetic energy is dispersed, and he just kept it at the claws without it touching the flesh at all? Because then it exploded when he went through master mode, right?
Right. Once he puts it into an object, that's when it's released. He charges it in something, and then it has to be released.
Okay. I'm letting it go. I can see because you making some sense. But doesn't take it away from the episode though.
But once again, it was awesome to see. I still loved it, but I was like, nah, it don't work like
that. Okay. All right.
And he can charge the bow staff too. He can charge it. That'll take him a while. So that's legit. But that dude loves his bow staff. Like, that's a part of his fighting style.
So, man, I got
one of the coolest things he ever did was in X-Men. He went against Gladiator. I got the book. I'll show you to you. It was so deep. Like, and Gladiator could have, pulverized him.
Yeah.
He had him in the corner, and he was like, "That's fine. You can handle one card, but can you handle the full deck?" And he charged a whole deck of cards and said, and just flicked it at him like so. Just just imagine like all of these cards, rapid fire, huge explosions just going at Gladiator, and he wasn't ready for it. You know what I'm saying?
Nice.
He still ended up I think they ended up winning that fight, but then you find out later that wasn't Gladiator. It was actually a Super Scroll. And so, but still, it's like that.
Gotcha. Well, he's definitely a popular character through and through. And I think you guys already answered the question on if he was done properly in the one movie he starred in and he wasn't. Before we move on
and I'm so glad that we never got a Channing Tatum or whatever. Channing Tatum.
Get out of my head.
Gambit movie. I'm so glad we never got that.
He tried his best to get that the green light. Like,
speaking of which, first appearance of your boy right there.
Yo,
let's go.
266.
Nice.
You know what I'm saying?
Nice. What number is that, Doc? For those who don't know. Uncanny X-Men 266.
Uncanny X-Men 266.
Now, there was a little bit of a debate back then when I worked at a comic book store in San Antonio. There was an X-Men annual that had the Fantastic Four guest starred, and that was considered a cameo first appearance as opposed to his full first appearance in that Uncanny X-Men issue. I had this dude just like swear up and down to me. And then once I finally looked it up, I saw that we only had it marked for like $10. I'm like, okay, let me just go ahead and grab that just in case he might have been right.
I mean, he could be, but they're not going to call it that. They're going to always, it's like Amazing Spider-Man 300. We all know they actually showed the first full page of Venom in 299.
$2.99.
They call 300 the first full appearance. Same thing with Carnage. Spider-Man, his books. Same thing with Wolverine. Wolverine was actually in Hulk 180, not 181 first. But 181 gets all in the pub.
Right. And that's going to be a subject coming up on, as we are coming back, so will Retcon Comics stock market be making a return as well. But listen, if they ever do Gambit in the movie, let's just pray that it's done flawlessly since Marvel Studios has the helms of the X-Men characters. And if X-Men 97 is of any indication, then I do believe we're going to be in good hands. We do have Deadpool and Wolverine coming up. So, let's just see.
We shall see.
Right. And moving on to number 3 is Storm. To me, she's mega popular. Of course, her powers are weather manipulation. I don't know if she has super strength. I've never really seen her as like someone who's super strong. But if you got the weather, you can. Do you need super strength? I don't know, but I digress.
You look at most of them and their powers. Most of them are considered peak human, so they're probably at the top level.
Yeah.
Plus, with all of the brawling and stuff that they do.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I know she got skills. She battled Callisto. In that famous episode.
Hand-to-hand combat. Like that was one of the other things I had a problem with that movie. Like I'm like. Storm can throw down. Like this isn't just her and her powers. Like she can fight.
Right.
She beat Cyclops without her powers.
Right. I remember there was that issue. Like I think it was a cover. Like he tried to hit her with optic blast. She was dodging. She had a mohawk. I think back.
Yes, she was rocking the mohawk.
Yes. I love the Storm looks. As far as her adaptation, 4 animated shows. We already ran down the X-Men shows, of course, and then 6 movies. And from what I'm hearing, and I'm inclined to agree, she wasn't necessarily done properly throughout her movie adaptation. So because you're right, she has an accent, And it's like they were trying to have Halle Berry do it for the first one, and then you would hear it. I just keep thinking about when Logan about to run out, that scene where he's about to leave, and then she's like, "At least I've chosen the side." And I was like, "Is that accent good, or I don't know if it's good or not?" And then
rule of thumb. Rule of thumb. If you have to say, "Is that accent good?"
Right, it's not.
It's terrible.
You are correct. And then she had that big build up in the bad scene when she was talking. You know what happens to a toad or frog that gets struck by lightning and everything? That was the worst line. The build up and everything, like that was absolutely horrid. And you go
was awful.
against Toad? What?
That sounds like a dad joke.
It's terrible.
Not even that. That's worse.
Even Toad was like, huh?
Like, what?
He was confused.
Yeah.
It was bad. What? But then you look at it. It's essentially Queen Ramona was Storm. She had the blonde. She had white hair now because she was older.
Yep.
That was Angela Bassett. And she
can't let it go
all day.
She looked amazing. She should have been Storm.
She should have been Storm.
That's horrible.
Without question.
Now what about the actress who played Storm after what was it, Apocalypse and then Dark Phoenix? No, nothing. No love for her. Not even.
Well, she didn't do anything.
Yeah,
she didn't do anything.
No.
What I'm hearing is.
Well, I mean, you got to think the problem with the X-Men movies is that they were just Wolverine movies.
Right.
That's the problem. So every other character got underserved. Every other character, it was like they weren't fully realized. And there were 7 X-Men movies, so they had plenty of time to really dig into the lore. But it was really the Wolverine show, man. So you weren't going to get that.
So then I'm hearing is the animated Storm was the best adaptation above the movies. It doesn't seem like the movies versus the shows are
X-Men 2. X-Men 2,
I
was fine with Halle Berry. She had the short cut. She actually was fighting. Power was breaking shop. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
So it was okay. And she lost the stupid accent.
Okay. Yeah. That works. The thing about Storm, bro, you really have to showcase how magnificent Storm is. Like,
I mean, yeah.
To control the weather?
The weather.
Mm-hmm.
Come
on, man. That's a god power. You know what I'm saying? That's like
they call her a goddess. She was worshipped. They thought she was a goddess.
Right.
And she carried herself like that. Like, come on,
man. We had that when we was in high school. You know how we make it snow every day? I ain't going to school. Let's just make it snow. Let's just keep it perpetually dark. Like, nah, it's not. I'm not feeling it today.
I've said a long time. There's a reason why I do not have powers. People will be like smoldering piles of ash.
I might be Homelander. Real talk.
oh man. That's extreme, bro.
Might be, dude. Saying.
That's extreme.
I have those moments,
dude.
Hey, bro, it's a good thing I can't. It's a good thing I don't have heat vision.
Well, with Storm, that's crazy. I feel you. With Storm, one of her best storylines to me in the comic books was, of course, Life, Death. I don't know if you got that far yet, Doc, in X-Men 97.
Yeah, is that when she was without her powers and she was like with Forge?
Yes.
Yeah, we watched it. That was a freaky episode, man.
Yeah. I had to turn away a couple like, whoa, hold on.
Yeah.
I didn't know about all of that. Yeah. I mean, but it was definitely adaptation, which I like about X-Men 97, really for the animated series period. They do at least take cues from the comic books themselves for most of their storylines. And then, Storm, she got mega, if it was possible, even more mega popular when she married Black Panther in the comic books, which really bridged the gap.
No Black love.
Right.
Yeah. Ended it.
Oh, man, yeah, which is sad. It took place in Avengers versus X-Men. And then T'Challa didn't have to be so cold because, it was like at the tail end, like, Storm, she was with the mutants at the time, because to kind of summarize it as shortly as I can, pretty much the Phoenix Force was on its way to, and then Cyclops believed it was coming to Hope Summers, who was the mutant who was born after the House of M and Scarlet Witch said no more mutants, and then Hope Summers was like the first mutant birth. After all of that, so Cyclops believed that the Phoenix Force was coming for her. Cap and Iron Man, they see the Phoenix Force, they like, we got to do something about it. Let me holler at Cyc. So he talked to Cyclops, like, we need to get Hope in protective custody. Cyclops like, nah, we got a Messiah. You ain't doing none of that. So bam, right. X-Men versus Avengers. Storm was on the X-Men side. And then they later realized, okay, they were on the wrong side. So, and then Namor flooded Wakanda, so here comes Storm. She just apologetic to T'Challa. And he talking about, we're no longer married. Our marriage has been annulled by the high priest. And then she said, but you're the high priest. Like, whoa.
Right.
Bro, like, no, why you do Storm like that? Right. Why you do Storm like that? Like, that was a power couple. Now that was the epitome of a power couple.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Those are one of the popular ones for Storm. So the second one.
She with Craig now. So
she with who?
She with Craig. You
Craig.
gotta look him up. He's a brother. Is that Craig?
Craig. Like from Friday, Craig?
Yeah, like not that Craig, but she with Craig. I love it though. So
you said Craig, I'm like
human Craig, and I'm like, he a NASA scientist. He's an astronaut.
So she with a regular person.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to say it like that. My bad.
Yeah. He with a regular old brother. He holding down. I'm gonna get you a pic. I'm gonna show you a picture of Craig.
Yeah, please do.
Hi, Craig.
Craig, all right, represent, man. Okay, I ain't mad at that.
Okay, pop quiz. What's her one weakness?
Oh, claustrophobia.
Boom, you got it. Which goes so with this person who just basically has all of these elements, the openness of the world, the skies. You put her in the box, she loses.
Yeah. Man, they should have put that in the movie somehow, some way. Well, I digress. Well, now we got the second one here, and now this one was the toughie. But honestly, number 2 it can be nobody else but Cyclops. Powers, beam of energy from his eye, described as optic blast or concussive blast. Interesting enough, I learned more about Cyclops that it's almost like it's, I don't know, solar energy, but not solar energy, but he stores energy.
His eyes are a gateway from another universe, like dimension.
What?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's why it's like infinite. Yeah. So he and his brother. So all his brothers are Alex and Gabriel. So Gabriel both. Right. And their powers, but it was, I think they did one episode where they finally rolled up on each other and tried to use their powers and was like,
and it didn't work. Yeah.
But it makes them stronger. So their powers, if they're using on each other, it makes them stronger. But it doesn't affect them negatively in any manner. And so they just basically hit who's the best fighter. And usually, it's Scott.
Okay.
But yeah,
for those who don't know,
channel from this dimension, this other dimension.
Yeah.
Alex is Havoc and Gabriel is Vulcan, right?
Yep.
Right. And now Vulcan,
Adam X was a 4th brother. Man, their father, what is his name? What's the dad's name? On the Starjammers.
It's not Nathaniel, is it?
No, that's his son.
That's his son, right?
What is this? He's on the Starjammers.
He's on the Starjammers, yeah. And he lost.
Okay, I'm gonna find that out. But his dad be getting around.
I mean, apparently, I didn't know there was a 3rd son, man. I mean, 4th son, Adam.
They tried to say it in X-Men Legends. It was Adam X.
Man, he do get around. Okay, but with Cyclops, he's, of course, he's a founder of the X-Men as well, along with Jean Grey and Iceman, Beast, and Angel. Cyclops, he's been adapted into 4 animated shows. The animated series, X-Men 90s animated series, of course, he definitely had his flowers in that show. X-Men Evolution. What did y'all think about X-Men Evolution? Because in that
was horrible. You know why? Because
oh wow. Okay. Tell us how you really feel.
Darwin died.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Darwin can't die. His power basically is he can't die.
Right. He evolves to whatever.
They made Black King Bishop not Bishop, Sebastian Shaw basically into this amalgam of him and Bishop. He can't absorb explosions and stuff like that. I'm like, what are y'all doing?
But this is X-Men Evolution, right?
Oh, you talking about the cartoon? I'm sorry. I'm talking about what's
my bad. Yeah.
X-Men
you talking about First Class.
Amazing. I'm thinking about
it was underrated. Underrated.
Evolution. Yeah. I rewatched that too, and I was like, this. I don't know why I thought it was bad. I think someone got in my head telling me like, man, that was terrible. But I rewatched it. I'm like, no, it's actually pretty good.
And it had an end. It had closure. Like it was. Dude, no, X-Men Evolution was an underrated show. Like it did not get the props of shit. Here go Craig right here.
Yeah, let me see Craig. Wow, Craig, you done came up. Okay.
All right. Top flight. You got the top flight security jacket on.
That's what I'm talking about, bro. Top flight.
Somebody. I ain't trying to be that guy, but somebody black must have wrote this to give Storm a brother. A normal brother named Craig a shot at Storm. You know what I'm saying?
Dude, when she was like Craig's, I was like, it was an X-Men Red. I'm like, and I enjoy X-Men Red thoroughly, but I'm like, word, it's just Craig. That's all right.
That's right. Mad at you, Craig. Cyclops definitely in the animated. So what about Wolverine and the X-Men? How did you like that show? Period. Cyclops in particular. Because he wasn't no leader in that show, because of course it's called Wolverine and the X-Men, but it seemed like he just had like a nonchalant care about anybody in that show.
Right, except Jean, as you said earlier, they were just trying to make it about Wolverine.
That was my problem. Yeah.
And I think we saw that, unfortunately. We saw him devolve as far as the movies are concerned, because you got the first one, okay, good. There's a balance there, and the second one wasn't too bad with Cyclops, but the third one, they just immediately cast him away. Like let's hurry up and get him out of it.
The second one, they cast him away too. He was knocked out. Lady Deathstrike knocked him out.
Oh, you're right.
He was he was knocked out the half the movie.
Right.
Cyclops is my favorite X-Men, so I take exception to how they have treated him, man. They have treated him horribly.
Yeah.
Now,
horribly.
I think with the third one, I read the actor James Marsden. I guess he was needing to shoot for Superman Returns at the time for the third one, which is why the director was like, okay, we'll just write this quick scene and you out. And so we only got one shot of him doing an optic blast to a lake. And then that was it. Jean kills Scott. Jean kills Scott. What?
It was bad.
It was
just bad.
That was it. Now, it was just bad.
That dude wasn't imposing to me at all.
No, he wasn't.
Boy Scott is supposed to be probably like 6'2", 6'3", maybe 6'4", muscular. Like he's that dude. You know what I'm saying? Peak athlete. That guy was just a guy. I mean, he had a nice little face. He a handsome dude, but he's about. I swear he didn't have platform shoes on. And Jean Grey was taller than him in the doggone movie.
Like, oh yeah, for sure.
She's tall. Period.
For sure. Yeah.
And so
he is tall. And it didn't help that Wolverine is 6'3".
That's what I'm saying.
Right. Hugh was so tall, man. Shout out to Hugh Jackman.
That didn't help.
No. So then, so what about the so pretty much no love for the guy who took over Cyclops in what was it, X-Men Apocalypse and X-Men Dark Phoenix? I don't think he was in X-Men Days of Future Past, but the acting.
No, I wasn't mad at him. I mean, the thing that I appreciated about those later X-Men movies with a younger guy is that the X-Men were younger, so it gave you something to start from. So I didn't have as much of a problem with that. I don't think, honestly, once you get to like Apocalypse, it was just a bad movie.
Right.
But in terms of the X-Men themselves, I mean, they were young. Now that Dark Phoenix, was trash.
Yeah,
utter trash.
It was awful, man.
I tried to find ways to defend it, but I was stuck. Yeah, I was stuck.
Sometimes you get so stuck in the fact that being able to see it it was almost like the first Hulk movies. I tried to explain what when I tried to explain to my wife, I'm like, I just needed to see Hulk. Like he's supposed to be 9 foot tall and picking up tanks and how he was jumping in the air. I'm like, I needed to see that. But I couldn't justify anything else. And she kept saying, nope, it's always gonna be Lou Ferrigno. I'm like, babe, you gotta understand. You need to see about the scale. The scale can't save the trash.
Yeah, you're right. I like that. The scale can't save the trash. That's a quote right there. We gotta use that. And it just seems like the Phoenix anything just can't get no love. Like, because X-Men: The Last Stand was about Jean being the Phoenix, that was terrible. And then we had X-Men: Dark Phoenix, that was terrible. But I will say this in their defense, I believe, and I'm not mistaken, Fox was on the tail end of being bought by Disney, and I really feel like Disney was just trying to run through them all. Okay, let's get rid of all this. Let's just empty it out of the disposal, and then that way we can really start fresh, So it's like they didn't care at that point,
Right.
Almost like with the DC movies, you got James Gunn, he's already got a plan going. So anything prior to that, it really don't matter, because it's not going to connect to it. So I think that may have been what it was, I found it. I found a way to defend Dark Phoenix. So there. Boom.
No, you didn't really defend. You didn't defend it, justify its existence, but you didn't defend. It's indefensible, bro. That movie was awful.
Trash.
It was awful. And I would be honest. So tell me if you agree. I always felt like the X-Men would be much better served in a series.
Yes. Right? Agreed.
Much better served. Much better served. It's just too.
It's too much.
It's too much. It's too much.
Right.
It's too much.
In a 2-hour movie. Right.
Yeah. And then when you do these movies, you have to center it around the most popular character because you got to get people to get to the theater.
Right.
Putting in movie form is just the X-Men is just so rich, and there's so many characters and there's so many stories to be told. Man, I just feel like a really good series. Like imagine like a HBO X-Men series, bro.
Right.
Fire.
But it can be done. You just gotta have the right director, the right writer. Because let's look at it like this. Let's look at Deadpool. Ryan Reynolds got it right. Go back and look at Deadpool. He told a story about his origin. Deadpool wasn't there until like the end. You got to see him with what he called that dude all the time. He kept calling him. His name was supposed to be Apex. And he kept calling him Francis.
Ajax. Yeah.
Ajax.
It was Francis. You saw him in that tank, in that room for the vast majority. You got a clip at the beginning where he, got down and was shooting with everybody and they got away from Colossus. But then the movie was his origin.
Yeah.
And it was done really, really well. And then the fighting picked back up at the end. And that was it. But it was done super well. He got it. He understood it. And he
shout out to Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah.
Like they can do it.
They can. But even with Ryan Reynolds, just to get the movie made, right? They shot the test footage, and they leaked the test footage to prove to Fox that it's a viable thing. And Fox only allowed them to make the movie for like $2.
And I think he had to use some of his money. I thought I read about.
And yeah. But that's another point where. And this is an exhausted point, but these movies are too expensive. You can do these movies low budget, man. And a lot of these stories, like especially when you're talking about X-Men, even though X-Men can get really big, every X-Men story doesn't have to be so huge. Just like Spider-Man.
Right.
Spider-Man doesn't have to be in space. Those stories don't have to be the stories that you choose to tell. So they can do these movies.
Right. Ant-Man didn't have to go
Blade.
Kang.
Right. Like look at Blade. Look how inexpensive those movies were and how much money they made Fox at the time.
Look, right
even
now,
though they completely
watch this movie. Sorry to interrupt, that somebody told me about at the comic book store. They said it's called Godzilla -1 or something like that.
-1, yes, Godzilla -1.
They said that they did that movie for like $10-15 million. And it's the best Godzilla movie ever made.
I got to finish up. I started it, but
with like 200-300 million, and they did it with 15. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And they sync these. Yeah. And they sync these franchises because they spend so much money that you have to make $1 billion just to make some kind of profit.
Right.
When that isn't the case.
That's silly.
But yeah, X-Men would be a great series because, like I said, so much material to try to bottle in a movie. And thank God we got X-Men 97, so at least we have something that can whet our appetite with that, which is doing such a great job. And I can't wait for season 2. And with that, we get to the number 1, which, I mean, can it be anybody else? Argue with me later, comment on it. But Wolverine is the number one X-Men hero of all time. I mean, we talking about healing factor, enhanced senses. His now these aren't powers, but he has an adamantium skeleton, so his claws are adamantium. But before that, he was able to pop bone claws. They
didn't know that. That came out in
right.
Fatal Attractions. Everybody always thought that those claws were given to him.
Right. Facts. And of course, he's been. I mean, Hugh Jackman. He's literally been Wolverine since. Wait, when did X-Men come out? 2000, right? That's high school.
I think it was before then, wasn't it?
I know it was in school. I know it was in high school when it came out. That's how long he has been Wolverine. He's been in every single one. Right. He's been
24 years.
Right. He's been, and he popped. I love when he popped up in First Class. He tell him go.
I know. Yeah, you know what he said.
You know what he said.
Yeah.
And then of course, here he is, Days of Future Past. That was great. I love that movie. And I'm gonna keep it real. He was the only thing that I got up out my seat for Apocalypse. And I saw that Weapon X. Is this what I'm thinking this is? They probably gonna get somebody else. Hugh Jackman probably tired of playing. Nope. Hugh Jackman. God bless you, Hugh Jackman, because I love the part where he was just ripping through the guys, and the guy who plays Stryker, he took a hard swallow, and then he said, "I'm gonna be right back." I said, "No, you like, yo, bro is out. Like, I'm gonna be right back." I would have got up on my seat. No, I'm going with you because I know you're not gonna be right back. I see what you see. Like for real. And then of course, swan song of movies for his character was Logan. And, Excellent. Of course, we all thought it was done. And here we are. If you saw it on Facebook or on YouTube or anywhere, you saw Ryan Reynolds post, with Hugh Jackman just casually walking around in what looked to be Ryan Reynolds' house and said, "Hey, Hugh, you want to come back?" Sure. And I'm like, what? So, of course, expectations, we're trying not to make them too high, but they are exceedingly high on Deadpool and Wolverine. Like, we're finally going to get to have them on the same screen together. And of course, I want to back up a little bit as far as, because I was about to go on storylines with Wolverine, but I want to back up on Cyclops storylines, where some of the best ones, which is tied to Wolverine, was X-Men Schism, where there was a thing about Wolverine not wanting the kids to, I guess, be X-Men soldiers or fight. And Cyclops was like, they can't be kids in a world like this. They have to know how to fight, yada, yada. And then it led to Wolverine having his own X-Men and Cyclops, running his own X-Men, which inevitably led down to the road of X-Men versus Avengers. So that was a big storyline that really centered around both of them. And they had like a really bad, bloody battle between the two as a Sentinel was coming when they were on that. I guess it was an island at that time. You can help me out with it, Doc, where they were all, I think it was the rock that used to be Asteroid M. And then that's where they were all stationed. All the mutants were going there for safety and all of that stuff. But X-Men Schism was good. Avengers versus X-Men, of course. Messiah Complex. That's really tied to Cyclops and Wolverine. But one of the best storylines of Wolverine is Old Man Logan. Yeah. The artwork, I love the artwork from Steve McNiven. I think I'm saying his name correctly. Yeah. Hope I'm saying his name correctly. I mean, McNiven. Yeah. Okay, McNiven. Yeah. Sorry, sir. Please let us know. Please let us know. Comment. Let us know how we should be saying it. How it needs to be pronounced. But that was such a beautiful storyline. It was gory. It was sad. It was hurt. It was exactly what Logan was, And then I love
insight to the Hulk.
Right. Now it was kind of messed up.
Want to talk about how She-Hulk can get down and
oh my gosh,
handle the Hulk.
Yeah, incest stuff.
I mean, it's bad, but when you put it down to it, Hulk, it was
yeah, hillbilly gamma radiated Hulk.
Bruce Banner is just not a good combination.
No. He made him such a redneck, and this dude's a scientist. Like
he is. But
it was so
Bruce was woo.
Right. It was such a good storyline. I can't think of any others on the top of my head. I know there's so many Wolverine storylines, but he's so mega popular. Like, who wasn't a kid? Origins. Thank you. Origin.
So, they mess up so many things. It took them forever to finally sit down. And you talk about when some people sit in the room and say, "How can we do this?"
Yeah.
And they messed around with it. Logan's history, or should I say James's history,
James Howlett,
not well known, and they just teased everybody for like decades.
Yes.
Finally, these writers said, "We're gonna tell this story, and we're gonna tell this." And you know what? They pulled it off.
They
Origin
did.
is probably one of the better stories written, and it's the origin story.
Yes. And I loved it.
Well.
And at the end of House of M, after Scarlet Witch did the whole No More Mutants, he woke up saying, "I remember everything." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, are we finally going to get some stuff?" And then boom, here we go, Origin. So I thought it was good as well. And again, there's really not much. I don't need to beat it with a dead horse. Hugh Jackman his portrayal of Wolverine is second to none. I mean, now let me ask you this:
Literally.
even though he's been a great Wolverine, does that make up for X-Men Origins Wolverine?
No.
No, we can't.
No.
So we can't gloss over all of that because he's still Wolverine.
No, man, he was in a bad movie.
No love, not at all.
What did we say?
None.
Scale does not save trash.
Period.
Doesn't.
Period.
Now
he was the best part. To be honest, X-Men Origins Wolverine, him and Sabretooth, I loved both of them.
Yeah,
they were great.
Yeah.
The rest of that joint, and I liked early Deadpool.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
I thought that was great, but that movie was garbaggio, man.
Yeah.
Not later. Oh man, he's speaking another language. That's how bad it was. Okay.
Terrible.
It was terrible.
Terrible.
But I did think Old Boy was a good Sabretooth. He was a great.
Yeah.
He was really good.
That was good.
Liev Schreiber.
It was like
That's definitely an improvement from the first one. I mean, he didn't really talk or anything, in the first.
That dude was a wrestler because he wasn't. That was the thing. He couldn't act. It's like what the travesty that's Ray Park. They don't ever let Ray Park. He's an excellent, martial artist, wonderful weaponist, and they don't let him speak in anything. He was Darth Maul, and he's awesome, and they don't let him speak.
Yeah, for the longest I thought he was a silent character, and then Darth Maul.
Oh, Snake Eyes too. Yes, right.
Oh, right. They had a Star Wars Darth Maul comic book. And I'm like, he talks. Like, okay.
He was told.
He was told. He said something. It was told. That's what I'm saying. So I'm like, was that even his voice? Did they let him speak? Did they put somebody else in there? I don't know.
It was every time I've seen him, his character talk has been somebody else's voice.
Yeah.
Right. He had a great storyline in Clone Wars, though, for sure, Darth Maul, I thought. But so that is the top 5 X-Men heroes of all time. So if you agree or if you disagree, whether it's the placement or whether we left somebody out, such as Psylocke, because I know Psylocke is popular, but, again, we're going off of longevity and we're going off of, popularity. When it comes to the baseline metrics and adaptation, character development. But if you disagree or agree, please make sure to comment. Give us your top 5